because he has Trump's trust, the president or the White House was not going to stand in the way of that goal on the part of Gore. And so it's not a coincidence that since he arrived in New Delhi, we've seen a lot of positivity in the messaging and the relationship, a number of high-level engagements. We had this big breakthrough with the trade deal coming not long after another big breakthrough when Gore announced that India would be asked to join the Pax Silicon. I guess my main reaction is it's been a long time coming, right? It's been almost a year since President Trump hosted Prime Minister Modi at the White House, and they promised to pursue a trade deal. And of course, the relationship went sideways. It faced many tensions in the months that followed. And I think it became increasingly clear that it would be very difficult to get a trade deal, especially because many rounds of talks failed to yield a positive outcome. So, for there to be a deal now, it's really significant for sure. And I think it's also a major boost for the U.S.-India relationship. I think this is the biggest victory for U.S.-India relations in nearly a year. It'll be a big confidence-building measure, and I suspect that it will bring some momentum that better enables the two sides to work through tension points in various areas. Well, of course, I mean, you mentioned the details, but we actually do not really know many key aspects of the deal, right? I mean, President Trump had indicated that India has essentially decided to stop doing a lot of things, which quite frankly sound a bit hard to believe. I find it hard to imagine that India will simply stop importing Russian oil. We have seen in recent months India decrease its imports of Russian oil, particularly after the new U.S.-Russia sanctions went into play at the end of November. It's not a surprise that Trump said that India would import more American goods, but there are a number of other key issues that we don't know, right? At this point, we don't know if India has agreed to open up access to politically sensitive sectors like its agricultural sector. That remains unclear. And I think one of the biggest questions right now is what of the 25% tariff that the U.S. Slapped on India for its imports of Russian oil? We don't know if that's going to be removed or not. We just know that the initial 25% tariff will be brought down to 18%. For me, one of the big questions is what, if anything, has the U.S. side conceded? Has it given in to, has it made concessions to the Indian side? And I think that until we have a better sense as to what the terms of this deal, we need to refrain from giving conclusive assessments of the deal. Well, I mean, again, we have to get a better sense as to what the deal truly entails. But if what the president says is true, that you're going to have tariffs come down significantly across a lot of sectors, then I think that in principle, a number of key Indian export, a number of key Indian products will benefit in a big way. Though again, I rather withhold judgment until I have a better sense as to what exactly this deal looks like. But, sometimes it bears amplifying the obvious that America is a top export market for Indian goods. And India had been able to develop a series of workarounds to insulate itself from the shock of those 50% tariffs from the U.S., including its recently announced trade deal with the EU. But at the end of the day, I would argue that so many Indian exporters stand to benefit if they don't have to worry about oppressive tariffs coming from the U.S., a top export destination for so many Indian goods. Well, I mean, I think that the relationship is back in the sense that it's really been floundering for quite some time. That's not that there has not been cooperation. There has. We've continued to see collaborations in a variety of sectors, from space to defense to law enforcement and other areas. But let's be very clear: the relationship has really been sputtering, and getting this trade deal had been such a key priority for both sides since that meeting that Trump had with Modi, just a few weeks into his second term in office. And this will provide momentum, as I said. And I think it'll make it easier for them to work through the troubling issues. And I would also say this here that Sergio Gor, the new U.S. ambassador to India, is a key difference maker. I think that he his arrival in New Delhi was a big reason why this deal came through. And I think that him being in New Delhi will also really help bring this relationship back to where both sides want it to be. I mean, this is clearly someone who may not be an expert on India. He had not really spent much time in India, so far as I know, but he clearly is a strong champion of U.S.-India partnership. At his Senate confirmation hearings for his ambassadorship, he was very positive about the relationship. Critically, Gore is very close to President Trump. They are very close. And so that suggests to me that Gore most likely told the president at some point, well, I'm going to India to serve and to get this relationship back on track. And because he has Trump's trust, the president or the White House was not going to stand in the way of that goal on the part of Gore. So it's not a coincidence that since he arrived in New Delhi, we've seen a lot of positivity in the messaging and the relationship, a number of high-level engagements. We had this big breakthrough with the trade deal coming not long after another big breakthrough when Gore announced that India would be asked to join the Pax Silica initiative after initially not being invited. So I do think that Ambassador Gore is really a big he's really a big advantage. He provides a big advantage for the U.S. India. Right. I mean, I'm not sure if there's links here between Jaishankar's visit and the deal being announced, but clearly it will give. I think it'll give the two sides something to be very happy about. It'll provide, I think for a good news story, so to speak, at a moment when these high-level engagements between the U.S. and India in recent months have so often been, feature these caveats about how the relationship in is in tough shape and that the two sides need to try to work to make things better. Now you have a success story in the form of a trade deal. And I really don't know, again, if Jaishankar's visit is tied to this. I mean, he's, of course, here to discuss other matters, such as critical minerals. But no, I do think that it's an indication that this relationship is getting closer to being back where both sides, at the end of the day, want it to be. Well, I mean, I'll be looking to see a formal statement from the Indian side, which could come very soon, I would think. But I do think that this tees up some very interesting possibilities for the relationship. I do think that with this trade deal, I think this will stabilize the relationship, and I think it might make it easier for the Quad to convene its much delayed leaders summit, which of course is scheduled to be hosted by New Delhi. It was meant to happen last year, but it didn't. So I think that this might open up a possibility for that meeting to happen, and indeed also for President Trump to travel to India for that meeting. And depending on how soon it happens, this is all speculative. If you still have momentum from the trade deal, it would give President Trump an opportunity to showcase this new deal. But I do think that the chances of having a Quad Leaders Summit now have gone up just because the U.S.-India relationship will now be in a better place. And of course, multilateral organizations can still function if two of the members are not getting along well, if it's a large multilateral organization. But of course, the Quad is the Quad. It's got four members, and if half of the members are not having a good relationship, it's sort of difficult to move forward with that organization. But I do think that this trade deal, as I said before, will provide a big boost to the relationship, and maybe we will see this much delayed Quad summit happen sometime in the coming months.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for talking to you, and I really